Lester, you make wine as well.
We do.
How awesome is that? Tell us a little bit about you guys' wine brands.
Yeah, so I mean, the number one question we get is like, why do we do wine? And I mean, it was pretty simple. I mean, as somebody who, worked in a tap room, lives in a tap room basically, like the number one request or question you get is people walking in with a group of 10 and they're like, oh, 2 of the 10 people don't drink beer for whatever different reason they have, right? Some are gluten intolerant, some just don't like the taste of beer, they don't like hops, they're allergic to hops, whatever it may be. And so there's always a demand for non-beer beverages, which is kind of ironic because like you walk into a brewery, so it's like, hey, like how about beer? But the reality is there's a lot of people who don't drink beer. So the number one question we would always get was, do you guys have wine? And so that was from like the get-go, from like the minute we opened our doors, we'd get that question. So in the back of our heads, we always thought about, okay, at some point we want to do wine. And I've always loved wine, probably loved wine maybe even a little before I started really getting into craft beer. And it's just something where it's like, even as a 22-year-old living in the Bay Area, like the girlfriend and I, we would always go up to Napa and like wine taste. So there was always kind of this affinity towards wine, doing something with wine. And it became like, okay, like if we're gonna do wine, we're not gonna just like rebrand somebody else's stuff. We're not gonna have somebody else make it for us. We're gonna like go and do it ourselves.
So, and this wine is a little different than regular wine. This is what they call natural wine. So tell me the difference between natural wine and traditional wine.
Sure. So, I mean, the main thing is a couple things. Like one is sulfites. Like sulfites is kind of the big one. The other one that I think like really like differentiates natural wine from like, and again, like it's a weird misnomer, right? It's like it's not non-natural wine, but what we do is these are all native ferments. So everything we do, basically, the yeast that ferments the wine, ferments the grape juice into wine, is natural. It is on the skins. So we don't ever pitch yeast, we don't oxygenate, basically like everything we do on the beer side, for a wine we do it the opposite, right? It's like it is complete like hands-off kind of winemaking, and
that's why you're not using the sulfates, because the sulfates kill any natural microflora that's on the fruit.
We will use like a little bit of sulfur like at the very end towards bottling, but like certain wines,
lock in that flavor.
Lock in the flavor. But like certain wines, like the sparkling, like Blanc de Noir, like this is 100% natural. This is even the carbonation in this wine is natural. So it's whatever's on the skin will ferment it, and I think the beauty of that is there are so many little micro fermentations that happen before Saccharomyces really takes off, whether it's a bacteria or just wild yeast. And that background note in those first kind of few degrees of fermentation is depth, is body, is character. And so I feel like so much is lost if you just like inoculate with a pitch of yeast, if you sulfur the fruit coming in because you're killing everything off and you add your yeast strain. It's all very heavy-handed. What we love is like, we love just kind of like the naturalness of, hey, like it's gonna be like a little bit different. It's gonna have a little bit of a different dimension to it because it's literally like what was on the skins that went, and it really kind of captures in my mind like the essence of the fruit that we're getting.
So speaking of skins, let's talk about the fruit. Walk me through, where the fruit was sourced, maybe the processes, and what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so most of our fruit comes from Anderson Valley. I think like Anderson Valley is probably like one of the most like unheralded wine regions in Northern California that people don't talk about enough. Really love the fruit that comes out of there. So this Blanc de Noir, this is 100% Pinot Noir grapes. So what's funny is like if you look at the color, like it is light, it is white. Initially, this was supposed to be a rosé. Last year, the same block, same everything was a rosé. We just didn't get the skin contact this year for some reason. That really kind of gave it that nice kind of salmon pink color. So hence that's why it's called a Blanc de Noir. Basically light from dark, white from black. This is a black dark grape that just pressed off the skin, so it doesn't get a lot of skin contact, not a lot of color pickup. And it just has this beautiful kind of light. It's effervescent, and it's just so like vibrant. This is a 2021 too, so like this is literally, like I tell people, this is grape juice. This is everything in this bottle is kind of like, if you believe in God, this is what like God intended, right? It's like it's literally just Pinot Noir grapes, and everything that is needed to make this beverage is given to us by nature, and it's just about shepherding it along the way to make it into a naturally sparkling wine, which is really, really fun. The Malbec, this is a 2020 Malbec. This is from El Dorado County, so it's kind of it's weird because it's a little bit more of a cold climate kind of character. So, you know, the fruit character that comes out of this one is a little bit more like almost watermelony, kind of lighter fruit, not the typical like darker, like Australian, super extracted dark fruit notes. So it's a bit lighter, it's a bit more just kind of like approachable for a good table wine. This is a 2020 Gewürztraminer, so this is from Anderson Valley. Gewürztraminer, we talked about thiols earlier, like Gewürztraminer, Riesling, like these are two, Sauvignon Blanc is another one, like these are like 3 wines that are really great varietals that are really known for their high thiol content. So these really big passion fruit, stinky, kind of peachy notes to it, which is really fun. I mean, Gewürztraminer is super hard to pronounce, so I think that's really the only reason why it's not more popular in this country. But it's a German style, German grape that just has a lot of big, bright kind of aromatics to it, which is super pretty and, you know, something that you don't get as much in this country. And then finally, this 19 Pinot Noir. So this is the oldest of the 4 bottles on the table right now. Anderson Valley as well. So like this and this, like what's crazy is like these are both Pinot Noir grapes from the same farm. But you can see just by how you treat the wine, you can get a light, naturally carbonated Blanc de Noir, or you can get this really dark, you know, just to me, like this is classic Anderson Valley Pinot. It's got kind of that dark Bing cherry note with a little bit of that earthy mushroominess to it. And there's really kind of nothing kind of like that region Pinot character in my mind.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to trying. Let's try some.
Let's do it.
Hey everyone, it's Vito from MoreBeer, and on this episode of The Mashup, we're in San Francisco, California at Barebottle Brewing, and we're sitting with Lester and Magic, and we're gonna talk Mexican lagers and a bunch of other stuff.